We are joined in the studio by Louise Carver. Look at you. It's nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how the hell are you?
I'm really, really overworked and underpaid.
Well, it doesn't show.
Thanks.
Doesn't
You look
show.
amazing.
Wow. Thanks, guys.
Here's a picture of Louise the last time she was here.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't changed a bit.
Whoa.
Look at you.
Oh, thank you.
Unbelievable. All right.
Thanks.
Very good. So whatever you're doing, you need to share your secrets with us. Are you? Have you stolen the fountain of eternal youth from somewhere, or what's the story? Come on.
Well, my mother is 76 and she looks fantastic. So,
Wow.
and she just used oil of Olay and whatever they had in the 80s. So I don't know. And thanks for that.
In the 80s, they used to smear whale fat all over themselves, didn't they? That's what they
used to
do.
lie in the sun, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, anyway, so maybe it's
And with mirrors shining on their faces.
Thanks, guys.
The 80s, how funny.
What a
All right,
We
so
survived it as children. Can you believe it?
I know.
You know what?
Drink and driving.
50 years ago. Soon it'll be 50 years
That's
ago.
right. That's right.
No.
Yeah, well, that's what Gareth said.
Okay, so I don't know about
Soon
the
it'll
80s.
be 50. So Louise Carver, renowned South African singer-songwriter known for her powerful vocals, emotive lyrics. Just 15 years old, she was signed and released, and her first debut single was called "It Don't Matter." I remember that song.
Don't worry about it.
Absolutely, still love it.
Thanks.
And it
don't
became
matter.
a massive, massive radio hit. The last time we spoke was 2017, so
Jeez.
pre-COVID.
Yeah, so much has happened.
Oh, it's a long
You've
time
moved
ago.
your offices and studios closer to me, which I really appreciate for this morning.
We did
Thank
it for you. It was
Thank
all
you.
for you. We had you
Especially
in mind when
It's
we
the
moved.
little things, you
When
know.
we moved back in February, the main reason was like when we eventually have Louise in here in August.
Yes.
it'll
4
be
kilometers
convenient
away
for
from
her.
her house.
We want
Perfect.
to make it convenient for her.
So let's just update everybody here. 7 studio albums,
Sure.
1 live, 11 South African Music Award nominations, 2 US Billboard #1s. Bloody amazing. 16 top 10 hits in South Africa to date. Holy hell, you've done well.
And yet it doesn't feel like it. I still have a bit of imposter syndrome. Sometimes I look at my hands doing things on the keyboard and on the piano, and I just think like, what are you doing?
Really?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
And sometimes, yeah, it's very strange.
Almost
And
like an out-of-body experience.
that's exactly what it is. So I try not to have those when I'm on stage and just go with it.
So, all right. I mean, last time we spoke to you, I mean, you is your dog still alive? Elvis that you told us about?
Elvis. No, he got to 16 and a half.
Because he was already quite old then.
Yeah, he's a Scottie.
Shame.
Yeah, it was. I
It
love
makes you
that
feel
dog.
better. Carl died as well.
I know,
so,
and I sent you wishes for that because it is actually very traumatic. And you know, I love all animals, but sometimes there comes a dog or a cat or whatever you have that's very, very special.
Well, you
and-
got
and
a
Elvis.
tattoo of Elvis.
I do, and his name on my neck, which
Look
I
at
had
that.
made. Yeah, I hope that's the right way around. It was very early this morning, but
That's not going to put off any potential future husband.
Yeah, no, not at all.
This woman's so obsessed with her Scotty, I've got no way into her heart.
I have no intention of getting married. Please.
None?
No. I was
Really?
actually with Ross yesterday. We were just rehearsing from Prime
Ross?
Circle.
Oh, Prime Circle Ross.
Yeah, we're good friends for many years.
How's
And
he?
yeah, we were talking about marriage. And I don't know why I end up saying weird things whenever I'm not on Cliff Central very often, but I spill the tea.
Yeah, it's
But
a very comfortable environment. That's why.
But yeah, you said, do you want to get married? And I said, no, I really don't. And I feel like if there is such a thing as past lives, that I've possibly been strangled by a husband from a past life. I have this closing throat feeling whenever anyone discusses marriage. And plus,
Sure.
for what I do for a living, I get my hair and my makeup done and I get dresses made and I go on and have my day on stage. So I don't need a wedding. It's part of
Sure.
what I do. So no, I just I like long relationships as long as they are healthy and
Because you
everyone's
had a shitty one you told us about last
yeah,
time.
you see what I mean. I don't
Oh,
really,
so
I wasn't
it's the
that
trauma
wasn't
from that one still.
no, well, no, I'm over that one. That's
Good.
That's done.
That's good.
Lessons were
Good.
learned.
Yeah, you
Good,
didn't hang on to stuff.
No.
I said to
But you
someone
must
the
be
other
open
day.
to love.
Oh,
never
I'm
know.
6 years in a relationship.
Ah, great. Good.
She's fine.
Okay, you got this.
I'm good.
Someone said to me years ago, and I think it's so valuable to remember this: like, guilt and shame are just the most pointless things you can inflict on yourself
Yeah, things to carry. Yeah,
because nobody else is aware of them.
Yeah.
and it's only eating up your soul, making
exactly.
you miserable. And I see so many people in the world today who are just guilt-riddled and full of shame, and it holds them captive.
I think also jealousy. I found myself, not often, but jealous about someone else's success.
Yeah.
And I've had to like give myself a talking to and go, they're not even aware of your emotions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all you.
Exactly.
So to use an overused word, it's very toxic to have that in your body.
It's just a waste of energy.
It is. And it should just be a sign that it's something that you'd like. So work harder. So
Yeah, I like the idea that, you also admit that we all sometimes get jealous. And I sometimes think of, in my lucid, sensible moments, I'm never really jealous of anybody because I think, no, I kind of like being me. Most of the time,
Yeah.
thank goodness. But there are those moments where you think, it would be nice to be them, maybe because, I don't know, they're extremely smart. Maybe they've got tons of money. Maybe they've got the most interesting career in the world.
yeah.
Compared to what you think you've got, right?
Yeah. And I find that there's this, when someone's in the slipstream or when they're in the flow, everything they touches just works. And I've definitely had those moments where I think, gosh.
Hell of a career, right? Most people would be horrified to think that you at any point could be jealous of someone else.
Yeah, and I think I have been. So, and I think it's just,
You haven't murdered them and put them in the ground, though.
no, I've definitely rolled my eyes when their names come up.
Lebang's
That guy.
Lebang's like, I have.
I'm like, does Gareth know?
What have you heard?
So you're in a 6-year relationship now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of sounding like marriage.
Is he-
like after like 4
Don't
years.
make her throat close up. Will you just stop?
No,
right, so-
I've had the talk with him. No.
Okay, but Louise, is he? You don't have to reveal anything here. Is he also in the music business?
No.
Okay, thank goodness.
He's
'cause that's-
actually works for a Canadian company, and they are in the cryptocurrency world. Building. He's a software engineer, so he's building
excellent.
things
So
that I
he
don't
doesn't
understand.
get involved in music,
That's
and
the
you don't
opposite.
get involved in Bitcoin.
Not at all.
Good.
No. He does. I say, babe, how was your day? And he said, well, I built this, and my brain just
Switches off.
I'd love. Well, that's
like,
also when you realize
yeah.
there are people that understand things fundamentally that I just feel like I will never really understand things. So he's building Web3 and
Nice.
things like that. So he's
Okay.
he's a very
I'm
logical.
gonna ask you
No,
complex
please don't,
questions
because
about
I know you
Web3.
know.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm out of my depth there
There's a
too.
Web3.
He does try, and then I can see he's like, you've glazed over again. I'm like, oh gosh, it's just so hard. But yeah, he's a very logical, calm, rational person. And I think that's often when you've been from one, you will go extremely to the other. So that's where I am at.
All right. Well, it's nice too that he, if he was in the music business, you'd end up talking about work at home. Which I was saying to, was it on the show we did last week where I was like, why do people need to, it was with
It
Simpiwe
was,
on
it was
Friday.
on Friday.
Like, why do people have to get home and share their boring nonsense from work, especially if they're in a really dreary job?
Yes.
And if you're in an exciting job like yours, where you're making music and going on tour and performing for
Traveling.
people, some people can get very into that by proximity, especially if they're in a relationship, and start offering you advice on stuff that they don't know anything about. You don't need that.
No.
You don't want this boyfriend of yours saying to you, oh,
Shame on Mark.
I reckon you should be doing this on stage. Or he doesn't do any of that stuff.
Not at all.
course
No.
not.
I do ask him for his opinion on things.
Like what things?
Like the way he sees. A small example was merchandise. I'm developing this merchandise thing for Home to Alive, and we're doing these beautiful. Well, they're not beautiful, but they're cool trucker caps
Yeah,
with
cool.
Beautiful
words.
trucker cap.
No, it's not. But with words that I put out on Facebook, which is your favorite South African slang word. So what came back was a whole bunch of interesting ones.
Filthy ones, I'm sure.
Filthy ones.
Yeah.
But the most popular was lekker. So I just asked him which font size and which do you like, and his brain will immediately see patterns because he's a patterns
course,
person.
of
When the first month we were dating, I actually thought he was a little bit on the spectrum
Really?
because he's so rational and so shame. We do joke about that.
Sounds like a good balance.
Yeah, I'm a lot. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I do come in with a lot of kind of emotion or whatever it is. And I guess
That's what makes you a good performer and singer. Come on, if you didn't have emotion, who would want to listen to someone who's
that's true.
dead inside singing a song?
Yeah, that's what we connect.
I feel dead inside.
Someone who's like dried up like the desert. Please
Disappointed in life.
sing us a song about your relationships and emotions and feelings and the things that you experience in life. Yeah, all right, but I really don't have anything inside. No, that's no one's idea of fun.
No, I suppose not.
All right,
No.
so let's get on to what you're busy with, because you're doing a new tour.
Yes.
So
That's so
it's
exciting.
called
For my sins.
Home Tour Live.
Yes.
So let's just talk about this. Kicks off next week.
Yeah. At Monte Casino.
Next week.
Yeah.
Nice.
2nd of September. 3rd of September, we've got another show at Monte Casino, and then I take it around South Africa. And as soon as you announce your tour, you've got people already going, why not Neisner? Or why not? I'm getting there. I'm
Neisner.
getting there. But not this tour.
Gareth is like, who is even in Neisner?
A couple of druggies, and some retired people.
Like old money. There's a lot of old
So-
money in Neisner.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they want to see performances as well. They deserve
Oh,
entertainment.
no. You're the person on Facebook.
She's the one sitting
It
there.
is I.
It's like standing up for the people of Neisner.
Is it?
No,
So-
but we're going Cape Town, Durban, Atterbury Theatre in Pretoria, which is such a beautiful venue,
Nice.
and then Monte Casino, and then 2 obscure ones in the tour because my parents live in Hermanus, and
You're doing them as well,
I'll
huh?
do Hermanus Auditorium, which is
Oh.
lovely, and then Jan Milan, who used to live in Joburg, he did the wonderful. I'm sure you did it as well. Hospice Night of the Stars. He's gone to. He and his partner live in Paternoster. And we've been chatting, and he's got a lovely theatre there, old school. Everything he does is just beautiful. And it opens out to the little tiny Paternoster harbour. He said,
But
"Would
I'm
you
sure
come
that
there?"
a place like that, they would love to have you. Or the whole village comes out to
That's
support
it.
stuff, right?
So-
it's a good place to go.
Yes, I've popped it in, and my dad, being also an engineer, very logical, said, "Do you know how far Paternoster is from Hermanus? And you've got to go there the next day. It's like a 5-hour drive." But Sims from the Muffins, the Cooler, Sims from the Muffins, Sims Cooler,
Yeah.
will be joining me and
On guitar, right?
Yeah, and backing vocals. There's beautiful
Right.
vocals.
And you've also got Kenny on the drums.
Yes, Kenny
Right.
Williams, who's just keeping us all together, nice and tight. And so for when I travel with Sims, we just get on really, really well. And my parents, he doesn't drink. My parents took him wine tasting on the first day, so he ended up drinking. So I don't know what I've started there. My dad collects old cars and does them up. So he's got old MGs. So he took, when I did an interview in Whale Coast in Hermanus, and then drove back. And there I see Sims and my dad in those old little caps.
Yeah.
And they didn't even see me.
What,
My dad
in the
was
sports cars?
In the
In the
MG
old
red
MG?
driving past. And I thought, well, okay, bye, Sims.
Good to be in your band. You get wine tastings and driving around in sports cars thrown in.
Yeah, my dad, we had an interesting childhood, traveled around. I'm first generation South African, so my parents came from England. Much like a time we're having now in South Africa. They moved in 73 or 74 from England when England was going through a terrible time. You know, they had a massive recession.
Had a
The
terrible
mines were
Labour
closing down.
government. They had strikes all over. They had load shedding.
They had load shedding. So I was thinking about that before I came on your show and today, and I was just thinking that they emigrated during a time where we're having now. A lot of people are obviously leaving the country.
leaving, yeah.
So why Home Tour Live now when, really there's
Well,
so much negativity?
Don't we need it now more than ever?
Well, that's what I was hoping you'd say.
Okay, so you're doing your own stuff, but this is what's cool about it. You're also doing some songs that are very South African, that make people a bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
Songs like Paradise Road,
Yes.
Joy, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
And when I hear that, I get emotional about that song.
Me too.
It's like instant
You do too?
emotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that kind of song.
Yes.
It really just makes you like weep.
She
And
actually
then-
reached out to me. She sent me a message.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did.
Hectic.
Yeah, and she's the only surviving. It's Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia's the last one left. Because they remember, they never got any money from that
Oh,
song.
that 80s story.
Such a bad story.
I know,
It makes
there's
me
so
mad.
many stories like that in the 80s, and you sign all your rights over to some manager, and
They just disappear with the cash.
Yeah, the same as a substitute. I'll be
Clout.
your substitute.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
story there.
Yeah.
And my first.
We had Cindy Alter in here. She told us that story. I was horrified by the end of it.
Yeah. she's had that story. It was a horrible time in the 80s. where
But at least they
musicians-
got money. These days, you don't even get paid by YouTube and Spotify and
Exactly.
Apple
Not
Music.
much. has
Exactly.
changed.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to make your income through being on the
Performances.
road.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
you're a writer like myself, you get royalties from writing the
For other people and for you, right?
But I mean, the music industry generally has changed quite a bit. I mean, if you started when you were 16, you've probably seen all sorts of things. And
15.
my bad, I'm 1 year off.
It's basically child
lot happened
labor.
in that,
I mean,
yeah.
It's
your
basically
your
child
parents
labor.
should have been arrested for putting you on.
My mother was at every single. She was adamant that someone was going to fiddle with me, and luckily no one did, because that's when all that. And so she would sit there with her book.
Already
And
checking for
just-
pedophiles. Good,
Just watching,
good for her.
Yeah.
And then when I was 16, I had to go and perform. I didn't have to. I loved it. Every Wednesday, they gave me a slot at a place on the N2 called Steamers as you drive into
sounds
Somerset
dodgy as
West.
hell.
It
It
was.
sounds like one of those old
That sounds like a
Yeah.
place you should watch out
bars.
for pedophiles. Your mom was right.
Yeah.
My
Mom
mom's
knows
lioness.
best.
But,
Mother's instinct, right, Lebang? You wouldn't
Yep.
let any of your children go to a place
Not
called
at
Steamers.
Not
on
a
a Wednesday
chance.
night and you're in school, she'd
Not when
drive
she's
me out in a
16.
little red Jeep and sit there in the
Wow.
back going, oh, God, okay, here we go. But yeah, so I'm doing...
So they were supportive at 15. Your mom was there at every gig.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
and every studio session.
That's
She'd just
amazing.
bring her book and just be there. Not get in the way. She never said anything. She's just watching that everything was above
That's
board.
right.
And it was above board. And yeah, just to back to where you were talking, Paradise Road,
And weeping?
Weeping with Bright Blue.
Yeah.
Lovely story. Most people know the Nkosi Sikelelo was in the
Beautiful
instrumental.
Song. That song was banned, obviously.
Charted
Yeah.
band. Another band song was Eddie Grant, Give Me Hope, Joanna, also charted before the government of the day realized what they were. The big metaphor of Joanna was South Africa. Although he's not South African, the song is very much about our situation. So I've included Hope, Joanna.
Cool.
And then I've got a lot of wonderful friends that are brilliant songwriters. So I've included Prime Circle's Pretty Like the Sun. So
It's interesting. A lot of people assume that everyone in music you guys all know each other because you do a festival or a concert and you all kind of line it. But you don't really, unless you make an effort,
Yes.
you're not going to see those people for months. Plus, when you're doing shows, they're getting ready for their set. You're
That's
getting
exactly
off the
right.
stage. You're getting on, whatever it might be. You're not actually socializing. You're not sitting behind the curtains there having a drink together and catching up and like, how's your wife? What's happening with your kids? There's none of that going on.
Well, there was a very special time when I first moved to Joburg where there was 46664.
That was a big get together.
Yeah, and that's where the connections were made with Anu from the New Girls, Anu Carstens, Art Matthews from Just Ginger, and Ross Prime Circle. Those are my friends.
Guys, sure.
And a bunch of other musicians as well that we haven't really remained in contact, but the groundwork was done. We had to spend a lot of time doing charity work to be part of 46664. And then I've also run a series of concerts on my own before COVID, which I'm going to start up again, where I collaborate with another artist. I sing on their songs, they sing on mine. We have to share the same
Nice.
kind
That's
of
cool.
audience.
I like
cool.
that.
So that's what I've done, and I'll
Superb.
bring that again. But yeah, and then mixed in with the well-known songs are only my hits. So I'm not going to be taking you on an album journey. It'll just be songs like Home and Empty Fantasy and Warrior,
Beautiful.
the big ones.
I think that's amazing.
It
Good.
sounds
Thanks.
wholesome. I think that's the word. It sounds like a wholesome performance that you've put together.
Yeah, I think you've got to go with an objective, because why are you doing something? And I've thought about that. It ain't for the money. There's a lot of easier ways to make money than touring, I can tell you that.
It's hard work.
It's hard work. And after every tour, and I say this to Sims, I say, that was really hard. I don't want to do this for a very long time. And then I call them, hey, listen,
We're doing a tour.
I've got this idea.
Doing
I
it
think I
again.
should- like,
All right,
everybody's
because
so negative.
people make all kinds of assumptions. I mean, you've also got other businesses. You're still doing the jewelry
Very
thing?
much so, yeah.
You are? How's that going?
Very well. COVID was awful for a lot of reasons, but good for my jewelry business. I took it out of all the shops that it was in,
Oh, yeah?
and I made it an online business.
nice.
But that's easier said than done. There's so much competition in an online world. So how do you stand out? Well, I'm a performer. So every Sunday during COVID, I did a Facebook Live show where you could get the jewelry for less 25% with free delivery. And initially 3 people joined, all men from various small towns around the country, not buying jewelry. I don't know what they were doing. Couldn't see their hands, if you know what I mean. But anyway. And I realized I was missing a key element, which was I didn't market it. I just thought, well, it's me. Everyone will put, no, they will pitch up for the music, not there. So I started, and now it's a weekly thing, which I do 4 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. off my Facebook page, Louise Carver Collection. People tune in, and I go through 25 of the top pieces of the week. I'm importing from Italy. I'm importing from Turkey.
Beautiful.
And we go through it, so it's not sales pieces, and people, and we've actually got a bit of a community that started, and people wish each other, oh, hello, how are you? How was your holiday there? That's all going on, and that's how I stood out on an online business.
It's a cult.
It's a cult. It's a cult. Jewelry cult.
Jewelry cult.
Didn't know it was possible.
I do think, I mean, it's quite interesting how things have changed in the world where you used to, and you'll remember this too, because radio was so important, right? You had to get your song on radio.
Yeah.
And then you had to expose it to these huge, big audiences, and maybe a few of them would buy your music or get involved, come to a show or whatever. Now you can reach that audience precisely, get to the people who actually will buy and will come to the shows, and you don't have to worry about the ones who are not, because they won't come.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
niched. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's cost effective. You're not trying to convert people who are not interested.
Exactly. That's exactly how I've always operated, because I know that I'm not, there's music where it's perfect for get up, forget your worries, and I'm more of a thinking act.
Yeah.
And so I realized, okay, you're not jack of all trades. You are niche, and you try and pull it together and be a little bit more a sophisticated act.
Right.
If only they knew me. But still, what I present is a little bit more of a sophisticated act, and it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I'm not going to get on everybody's lineup.
But
it's
that's
enough.
cool. Yeah. The people that feel you and want to be around you and enjoy and connect with you and your music, they'll make it known, and I think they'll be enough.
Yeah.
Versus, trying to get everybody, whereas everybody kind of don't know what they want.
And also, trying to please everybody is just a very dangerous way to spend your time. It's going to be soul-destroying in the end.
Yeah.
Not going to win everybody over.
Never.
But you're right about what you said, which how the music industry has massively changed from radio being so important. It's still important, but there's other ways of getting your music out there that are very important.
Yeah.
And also targeting the people. The thing is, you can't also get comfortable continually targeting on your social media. You've the people that already love you. You've got to somehow grow it as well.
Beyond that. Sure.
So it's a balance. So it's a difficult thing to meander through.
So, Louise, you haven't, in the last few years, I don't know, found Jesus, given up alcohol, decided to start yoga, any weird things like that? Because a lot of people, around our age, they find some crutch. They decide they need to change some big thing.
Or they have an epiphany.
Yeah, well,
What happens?
I don't know.
What happens? People
not
just
so much-
kind of wake up and see things differently.
I don't know. It's also like they need to sometimes patch something, fix something they're unhappy about. You haven't done any of that weird stuff, have you?
No, I wish I could drink more, actually. And I'm being serious.
a good answer.
It's so
That's
unfair.
a good answer.
What happens when you hit 38 plus?
You can't have those hangovers. They are the
Yowza.
worst.
Yeah, no, your body starts striking back.
What are you talking about? You're 32. Don't you dare.
No, but I'm also
yeah,
suffering.
please.
My
Get out of the
hangovers
ring.
are now 3 days. It takes me 3 days to recover.
Well, you've got there's bad news.
The body is not the body that it used to be, Gareth. Things are changing.
Well, it's very kind to jump in on a
Yeah,
little
to
sad
help us
bandwagon.
old people with our hangover problems.
Yeah, I used
Try and
to-
empathize with us.
One of my
Nice.
favorite things to do would be after a period, because I'm quite an extreme person where I work really, really hard, get the project done, and then I like to reward myself.
Okay.
Whether it be through a week away in Mozambique or something nice, or a really lovely bottle of red wine, and to drink it and to have great conversations with people that I trust around a fire. And now I have to limit myself to.
So if you want me to trust you, you either have to put on the headphones or you have to stop moving away from that microphone.
Oh, sorry. I'm in deep conversation with myself, clearly.
That's fine, but I mean, your mic, for a singer, I'm surprised I have to tell you this
3
stuff.
fingers away. My gosh. Yes, so that's the only real change is that I used to be able to at least have a bottle of red wine not by myself. That's that. But
It's okay.
sometimes.
This is a safe space.
You're
You can
allowed
be
to
yourself.
And that has sadly been I've had to change my behavior a little bit. Other than that, to change the tone a bit, a lot of people have died recently, which has made me reflective. And yesterday I heard Derek Watts has passed.
You know what? I'm
it's-
glad you brought it up. It's a horrible thing, but I've seen such love for him,
Yeah.
such an outpouring of love.
Yeah.
There are very few people.
You included. I saw your post.
Yeah, there are very few people in South Africa. Listen, I can't claim to have been like a close friend. I saw lots of people who knew him really well, posting all kinds of lovely stories. But it's a tough thing in South Africa in 2023 to find someone who people universally are sad to see go.
Yes,
You know,
agreed.
there's going to be people who some people are like, whoa, I'm glad that she's gone, or I'm glad he's gone. And then there are other people who go, oh, it's really sad. And this guy, I haven't seen a single, maybe I've got a very monotone group of people I connect with on
I doubt
social.
I doubt that.
I don't think so
Yeah.
either.
Everybody's got such a positive experience with him. And what I like is that it's an array of people. So it's not just all celebrities. It's literally some people are just the average Joe and they may have just bumped into him somewhere, but that experience with him
And you
was
couldn't
so
miss him.
memorable.
6'6", something.
I saw such a lovely comment. Someone said that because he was so recognizable. I mean, he'd been on TV since we were kids,
Yeah.
So
basically.
many years,
And even though he was on this hardcore show, Carte Blanche, for years, where if you saw Derek and you were in your office, you'd think, oh no, they're going to come and take me out. You know, this is Carte Blanche uncovering some dark, dirty nonsense I've been involved in. But he had such a nice way about him. He was
so warm.
He didn't take himself too seriously. He was friendly to everybody. He seems to have been just universally loved, which is very special.
Yeah.
I think people can
Very special.
see someone with integrity.
Sure.
And that's what he had. A journalist with massive integrity. And one of the good ones. So, a lot of
Yeah,
that.
I'm sad to see him
Me
go.
too. I was
What a
really
loss.
sad. My heart just broke a bit. And I only met him a few times. And again, same story. Just lovely and gracious.
Nice to everyone.
Kind.
And he treated everyone the same.
Yes.
Didn't matter if you were someone who he needed something from or if you were someone who he could do something for. He was equally lovely to everybody and smiled and laughed and had a good sense of humor. And he was quite cheeky as well.
Yeah, twinkle in his eye.
Yeah, he didn't get all hardcore about things or throw his opinions
He had
around.
a lot of charisma.
Yes.
A lot of charisma.
Yes, good guy.
So I think with that, and I was saying to Sims yesterday, we were rehearsing, he's worked his whole life, worked really hard, and now should have been the time where he could sit back, enjoy his family, enjoy some quiet time. I think he was in his 60s.
Yeah.
And that was stolen and taken away.
Sure.
So this cancer thing is just, so it did make me reflect last night, going the way that we're living, particularly in big cities and competitive cities like Joburg and dirty cities and stressful cities like Joburg, as much as I love it.
Yeah.
What is it doing to us? And what is it doing to our bodies that we're not aware of? And
Yeah.
that just made me think last night. I drink a lot of coffee. I'm stressed, like we all are.
We all
I
are.
can't see
Not
me
just-
being
it's
different
not
from
just
anyone
you.
else.
It's not just you.
And the
yeah.
lifestyle of trying to just paying for everything that we need to have a
Trying
kind
to
of a
stay
middle class
afloat.
life.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
very expensive. Medical aid. I have medical aid for my dogs, which is creeping up as well. Every debit order, I'm like,
Everything goes up.
everything goes up. So it's this thing that we're in, and I don't blame Jan Milan for going to Paternoster and having a quiet life.
Well, you got to line up your priorities. And frankly, is money the most important thing? For some people would say no. And some of those people are the happiest people I know. And then there are people with tons of money, but they're miserable.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Stress is a big killer.
Yeah.
I think stress really hits a lot of people very hard. Our diets.
I was going to say, what are we eating?
Mm-hmm.
That is
Whatever
also
Uber Eats has on the menu for
and
me.
see, that's the
I-
danger. The danger is exactly that. We're
I
not
do that
having
way
like
too often, that
fresh,
Uber
Eats. Me
fresh
too.
foods
Me too.
anymore. The convenience of the KFC can just be injected into my veins and land at my door. We love that, but is it good for us? You know?
Yeah, these are the questions. I don't know. My dad, on the other side of it, my dad has always been a highly stressed person. I don't know if you watched Mr. Fawlty Towers.
Basil Fawlty?
Well, my dad is Basil Fawlty.
Oh, wow.
So massive panic. My mother is like Sybil. So that's the dynamic I grew up in. And he...
That's awesome.
He is 79, driving around in sports cars. They're just going to Zambia now to some game lodge to sit and drink. And he drinks.
That's where you want to end up.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we can stress and hopefully live a long time.
Make it,
He's
yeah.
never been on a diet. The butter that he's eating. He was born on a dairy farm in Bath in England.
Right.
The butter and the dairy he consumes, the red wine, the whiskey every night. He's 79 driving a sports car going to a holiday in Zambia. And
What a life. That's
So-
awesome.
Yeah, that's
I don't
great.
know if the stress is the killer or if it's just unfortunately in your genetic coding. That
It might just be lucky genes, but you mentioned Derek, and I just think exactly like here's this guy who worked and worked, and I mean he was on TV every week for us,
And to get that show there, as you know, it's a lot of
Hard work.
work.
and he was doing lots of other stuff too, and then this is the time where you want to chill and
Exactly.
be retired and enjoy your life. I feel like we need to have some of that at every stage of our life. You must balance having
Sure.
fun, being relaxed, being with people you care about, doing the stuff you really love with work, but it shouldn't be 80%, 20%. It should be
Yeah.
something close to 50-50.
And there is something in the water in
every
Joburg which is
day,
pushing you.
in every day, we must just find enough reasons to be happy.
Exactly. I felt that. I think if that's the only thing that he can give us, well, I mean, apart from his amazing work and career and the things that he's highlighted for us, that is something to think about, that nothing is promised. And it's hard when you're in your life and you're sitting in the saddle going like, I have to conquer this and sell this out and do this and
there's
get more
pressure.
numbers. And I do feel we had a month in Hermanus recently. We stayed July and didn't live in. I stayed one house up from my folks because I can't.
You
I
gotta
took
be
the dogs
in-
as well.
You don't want to be in their house.
Yeah.
No, I think when you hit 35 plus, you should be buying nice wine at least, not expensive, above 100 rand, and you shouldn't be staying in your parents' house if you can afford it. But Airbnb does this wonderful thing where if you take a place for 30 days, a month, a solid month, they'll give you a ridiculous discount.
Yeah.
So even if you're going for 3 weeks, it's better to take it for a whole month. So
Right.
I said to Mark, I need to get out of Joburg. I need to spend time with my dad. And so we took the dogs and everything down. And I worked remotely from Hermanus. And it's in the evening, you just go along the cliff path. I don't know if you know, but walk along the cliff path with the dogs, talk about things other than work, see a whale. Oh, look, there's a big fat seal on the rock. You know, these are the kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Then go and have a drink
Smell
with
the
my folks in
flowers.
the evening by their roaring fireplace.
Yeah.
So as soon as we drove back, you can feel things tighten in your body. It's a physiological change as you drive into, and you see the first Gauteng sign in your, you just feel, oh, here we go.
Sounds to me like you've got to move eventually.
Eventually, I think the sea is calling, but
That's the end goal.
that's the end goal. Yeah,
Sounds
definitely.
wholesome. Again,
Again,
wholesome.
it's a good word, and I do think that this is special what you just described now, and spending time, like for you spending time with your kids, Lebang, now while they're only going to be young for a little while,
Yeah.
and one day you're going to be like, they're all out of the
time
house,
go, yeah, they're not
right?
going to have time for me. Yeah.
Gone,
Yeah.
and similarly, your folks aren't going to be there forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to.
No, that's true.
buzzkill,
That is
but-
why. No, I know that is why I went down.
And you think, well, this is good. I'm spending quality time with them. I'm not going to regret
Yeah.
one day that I didn't
Exactly.
go down and spend time with them.
Yes, and you have to keep telling yourself to have patience as well with your parents.
I sometimes wonder what's harder, old people or young people.
I mean, what's the difference?
Yes, and the combination is quite something.
It's very much the same thing. But music is also for many of us who are not musicians and singers and performers, music gives us that release.
Yes,
Like, I
and for
find-
me as well as a musician.
You do?
Oh, very much.
What,
so.
like listening in the car, in
Yeah.
traffic, it calms you down, it makes you feel better, you sing along with your favorite song.
Yeah, I listen to
Are
all
you
sorts
ever
of music.
self-conscious about that, by the way? If you're in your car and someone knows it's Louise Carver, I mean, Lebang, you imagine you're just driving down William Nicol.
Yeah.
And you see Louise Carver in her car singing along to some other song.
I'm curious, what is Louise Carver listening to? Is she listening to Louise Carver?
No, it's definitely not me.
No, because that's work for her, right?
No, it's definitely not me, but it has changed over the years. So I often now listen to classical just to
What do you
deepen the
got there?
breathing.
What? Give me something that you've listened to recently. Classical songs, because I'm all about that too.
Weird,
And
isn't
just
it?
think,
How you
yeah,
go.
You do. The only thing I've never really cottoned onto is jazz.
No, I don't listen to jazz. I went to a jazz. My dad's very into jazz. He took me to a jazz concert in Hermanus in the wine cellar at the bottom.
Wow.
And
that sounds very cool.
my dad said to me, "We've booked a table at the Pear Tree in Hermanus, and he's very much, he needs things to be when they said it's going to finish at 8, because we've booked a table at 8:15. That's my dad's whole world. Is
like,
time and schedule.
Right.
So I said, in my inner thought, I thought, it's jazz. It's never going to finish on time. It's never going to finish on time. And as it hit 8, and these young, as they say, cats, found their groove. And I was like, I looked at my mum and I was like, it's not going to end at 8. It's not classical.
Meanwhile, he's
and
tapping his fingers
He's
on the
going
table.
like, the table's booked at 8:15. The table's booked. And I thought, Dad, we're going to, and I said, Mum, I know this is your nightmare because everyone knows everyone in Hermanus. We're going to have to leave if we're going to make this table. This is what you end up doing. It's so funny because I'm Louise and I'm Louise Carver, but I'm just Wheezy to my folks. And I'm still their daughter sitting in these
And look at
plastic
you
chairs in a wine
And
cellar.
you're managing them.
I'm managing them. That's interesting when that switch happens with your parents. And my dad's going, it's at 8 o'clock. It's at 8 o'clock. And I look to my mum and I'm like, Mum, I know this is your absolute worst nightmare, but we're going to get up in our plastic chairs and we're just going to not kick over our wine glasses and we're going to have to leave and get
jazz
out.
Jazz audiences are very serious.
Yes.
Very serious. When that guy's going ding, 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 self-indulgent nonsense, if you ask me.
There's a word that I use, but
It's musical wanking, is what you're saying. Right?
It's
She
a
used the dirty hand gesture. But okay,
Some
so
jazz,
you're
some
listening
jazz.
to
Yeah, that's what hates
classical.
on jazz.
Let's just get back to this. You're sitting in traffic in Johannesburg listening to what? Brahms? What are we listening
no,
to?
actually, I know I listen to Hans Zimmer, which is
I love Hans Zimmer.
okay, so it's
Very cool.
movie soundtracks.
Very cool.
Okay.
Sweeping kind of string.
So we're not going to see you singing. We're going to see you going.
Just going.
I'm fake conducting in my car. Look, no hands. No, that's not me. And I listen to a variety of things. I really don't know. I've put together a gym playlist as well for Spotify. So sometimes those will, I feel like that, a little bit of old school hip hop just to keep me going.
Yeah, that's good
And
in
it'll
the gym.
feed you like
That's
all
good.
sorts of stuff.
What's the one that I can't even, it's too rude. But anyway, when that comes on, I feel like if people in the gym knew what I was listening to, is really old. Busta Rhymes.
Nice.
Very
nice.
good.
A
Very
bit of
good.
Missy Elliott.
That's
Good.
nice.
Pumping the weights.
That's a nice
So that's
variety.
I've always, I think it's about the song and I don't really mind what genre it is. My partner does listen to death metal from small countries in way up north, and he has tried to explain the
Like
the-
Scandinavian.
yeah, that stuff.
Damn.
Death.
And that Viking.
Yeah, that.
Oh, it's disgusting.
What are they even saying? Like you can't even hear anything. It's
Terrible.
like monotone.
So yeah, that's where I will draw the line. Long car journeys. We've just decided to do audiobooks because we cannot agree on the
good.
music. So,
Yeah.
And Harry Potter always comes up with Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry.
Oh, he's great.
I could listen to anything. He could tell me a recipe, and I just slowly drift off into like nothing bad could happen to me if I'm listening to Stephen Fry. I love
Totally
him
agree.
passionately.
It's fantastic.
I would have him. If you say, the dinner party scenario, who would
Yeah,
you have?
yeah.
Stephen Fry all the way. I just want to be friends with him desperately.
He's so clever
From Blackadder days.
and he's so prolific and he knows so many things. I mean, I've seen him on I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, but the few TV talk shows that I have or clips that come up online, when he sits there, he starts telling a story about, I don't know, Greek mythology.
Yes, he loves that.
And all the other people just stop trying to participate and they just listen.
Just let him do his thing.
Because he's so damn good at it. In fact, it was Nicole Kidman who was sitting next to him in this one interview. And she just went dead quiet and she said, no, keep talking when he finished. I thought, wow, that's impressive.
He's done a very, very interesting documentary on bipolar, him being bipolar.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, he's bipolar.
Oh.
And he does not take the medication. He doesn't want the effects that the medication, but he is not saying it's a good or bad thing. So he did a whole documentary, very interesting, on people that have decided to take it versus people that are not taking it, and the virtues of both. And it was the conclusion is he still decided not to take it. I mean, they've found him he's gone walkabout quite a few times where he's been suicidal, and they found him in a different country without his wallet and wandering around. So it's pretty serious what he has. Yeah. But he has tried the drugs, and it numbs him, and he doesn't want to take away his sharpness. So he's decided to manage it in a different way. But
He's chained himself to the bed at night. And that kind of
but it's just a very interesting documentary on mental health, and being someone that has because most people don't do a documentary on something that they have.
Sure.
They do it about it, but he has it, and he did it.
So it's become very trendy, obviously, to talk about mental health issues. And we have, on Mondays, we've got Dr. Kgosana, who's a psychologist. We've got a series here that we do with a psychiatrist. And everybody these days is not everybody, but there are a lot of people who are claiming that they all have some sort of thing. Oh, I'm bipolar. Or I'm ADHD. Or I'm obsessive compulsive, or whatever it is. I often wonder if, again, because it's a generational thing, maybe you just would have made it through there without too much of today's kind of overdiagnosis. But I wonder if when we were kids, had the psychologists and psychiatrists and the medicalization of everything that is really just human experience, when we were kids, whether they would have put us on medicine.
Well, I was on Ritalin.
You were?
I was about to say, I'm sure a lot of kids
And
were.
I'm the same age as you, I think.
Yeah, we were there. And I think...
What, did they come and strap you to a gurney and like force feed you medicine at age 7? When did this begin?
No, it was advised by teachers at 7. And I had to go to...
Monsters.
That's
I had to go to
young.
special classes. They would take me out of the class.
Those
to learn.
monsters.
And I have a theory. I had chronic asthma as a kid, so I was on cortisone. And I believe that and I think I'm right. I think that the strong dose of cortisone to keep my chest open so I could breathe caused concentration problems. So then they started giving me Ritalin.
It helped you to breathe, which helped you to sing, which
Exactly.
helped all of us. So
Thanks, Gareth.
so tough titties for your ADHD.
So
But
I
you-
don't have ADHD,
but
I took the medication.
You were on Ritalin.
Yeah, as a kid, yeah. And
See,
I
what
do think
bothers
it's...
me, I just want to say, like, what bothers me about this, and Lebang, I don't know, you got 5 kids, you can climb in on this anytime you like.
children.
I know.
Wow, that's
I
a
always
story.
bring it up, and then people go, "What?" She's so sick of it. She just rolls her eyes.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm
It's
so
just-
used to it.
Is
quite
the
a-
Ritalin there to help the kid
Or
to
the
help
parents?
the parents and the teachers?
See, that was going to be my next point, is a lot of these parents don't want to participate in the parenting. And the teachers, when they just get hurtful, it's like, well, your kid
Here's
is
a pill.
broken. Just like shove something in the child's, veins, and then they'll be fixed. They don't want to actually participate in the healing and in the everydayness of what it takes to actually just be a present adult in a child's life.
Well, be a better teacher, because
Exactly.
I remember in school really resonating with my English teacher, because she got on the level with us. And she said,
Yeah, you see,
Louise,
what
I
you
know you don't
do-
want to be here, but you got to be here. So let me just help
Sure.
you navigate through this, and then we'll get you through.
I'm a rank outsider and an amateur at this, so I'm not going to profess any kind of knowledge. But if you have a child who has concentration problems, give them something they love to concentrate on. It's not a problem anymore. They might excel at that. There were certain subjects if you just opened the door for me,
Yeah, I agree.
I'd be lost in that world
Yeah.
for days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obsessed with it. And I'd come out knowing all the things you could know about an engine or whatever it might have been.
Sure.
Just give them something to do. Don't dull them and numb them and switch their brains onto slow.
That's always
agree.
the first thing that they want to do is, oh, well, because you don't like maths, injection. Oh, you're struggling in English, injection. I don't know how many of my peers in primary school were put on Ritalin just because they struggled with focus. Not every single person who isn't enjoying a subject is not enjoying it because they struggle to focus. give them something else.
Look
You
at
can't.
you. I mean, Louise
box-
she could have, for all we know, Louise Carver might have had the cure for cancer in her brain, but the
Right?
ADHD
Because of
medication ruined it for all of
The
us.
Ritalin hindered the cure to cancer.
Turned you into a singer instead of a scientist.
I could have had a much easier ride in life. Thanks, medication. No, but I did read something that said that only 10% of kids learn in the way that traditional classes are taught.
Exactly.
That's 10%. The rest, 90%, don't learn, don't take in information.
And
in
here's
that way.
another controversial thing is that
scary.
the format for learning in schools is very much a format that's tailored to girls.
Right.
Boys sitting still in a class listening, not a good
Yeah.
thing for them. They don't like that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I can see that with my nephew.
Boys learn by practice and
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
watching.
like
and
feeling things.
yeah.
There's like a lot of sensory.
sitting there with textbooks is like, it's a nightmare for
But
us,
I wasn't.
us guys.
I mean,
right?
I did a brain test once. Gosh, what was it called? It's called Brain Sex Theory, or it was a book called Brain Sex. And at the back of the
It's not
book,
one of those online quizzes.
no.
that-
It's a well researched book.
It's not some nonsense.
But basically, it's about your senses and how you respond to things. So,
Yeah.
if there's women are meant to be very good at pinpointing where the sound's coming from, obviously on a level of protecting the children. Or
Yeah,
something
evolutionary,
from that.
it makes
Evolutionary,
sense,
thanks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And 0 to 50 on your score would be a male, roughly speaking, and then 51. And the closer to naught, the more kind of, the more kind of caveman-y, I suppose,
Yeah. Sure.
Neanderthal. And then 51 to 100 female, and then closer to 100, the more that you are wanting to have your wedding dress and your, very feminine-minded and hyper,
feminine, right.
wanting to look after babies when you're still a baby.
And then, of course, on that scale, you will have, even though I'm going to get into such shit with a lot of people in the comments here.
Oh, gosh, yeah,
you
we've
will
gone
have-
into-
You'll have a lot of guys who would be in the 51 to 100.
Exactly.
And a lot of girls who'd be in the 1 to 50.
And
Now
groups of
more than
them
ever.
and theirs as well in there. So
Yeah.
Where would they even?
where would them be?
Because a
where
lot
would
of a
them
lot of men have a feminine expression in certain areas. A lot of women have a masculine expression in certain areas.
Yes, I've simplified the test.
What did you get? by the way?
51.
Oh, you're joking.
Right
And
in the
I was
middle.
18 when I took
You
it.
basically got a cock and balls at 51.
I have to shave in the morning.
Don't put us off. No one's going to come to your show now.
That's a lot of information.
Imagine you backstage.
And the back is the
Getting rid of the-
worst.
getting rid of the
Sims has to
titty
get
hair.
involved.
So you, what does that tell you about you?
Well, I kind of knew it. I did it at 18. And I thought, oh, well, that makes sense. I just thought that was the first, okay, because I have no desire. I always thought, why don't I didn't have a boyfriend till
You
I
don't want
was.
kids.
No, never.
Did you climb trees and make things out of
Yeah,
wire?
we lived in a small make things out of wire. We lived in a small holding, so I was out with animals most of the time, just
Okay.
doing things.
Yeah.
But just kind of in my brain, I thought, well, that does. I don't know if it's if it's accurate. I mean, I am a feminine person.
Yes. No, I would have thought you would be way closer to the 100 than the 50. So I read you wrong.
But I think how I
You
have.
present yourself that way.
Oh,
I'm not
thanks,
saying
yeah.
that I'm not saying that you have gender dysphoria or anything, but it is interesting to me that you kind of are closer to the middle of the range.
and I've always related.
Of course, that's assuming that this book is not nonsense.
Yes, exactly.
Sure.
I mean, I haven't re-looked at it, but I do. I
Where do you
thought it
think
made a lot of sense.
Where do you think you'd end up, Lebang?
Oh man, geez, maybe close, but because of like my natural instinct to just kind of like get into mommy mode all the time, definitely like around the 60s, definitely. But I did grow up with I was one of the boys, I was also just like a tomboy type thing. So
Well, that used to be a thing, and
Yeah.
people were. They didn't go, we now need to start changing her gender on her birth certificate because
Sure,
she's
no.
playing with the guy.
because she wears skater shoes.
Oh,
and
it's a
she-
complicated
yeah,
time. It's a complicated time.
that I'm glad is behind us.
Yeah. Again, like with the ADHD medication, and with the exception of Louise Carver, obviously.
Of course.
Falsely diagnosed.
I'm so pleased I grew up at the time I did, also because of these things, these goddamn phones.
know.
Yeah.
Like, I had a good life and a really long period of growing up before these things
I
came
agree
out.
with you.
In fact, I think I had grown up. I got my first phone at what, 20-ish?
Yeah, I was around. I got it. I got the Nokia brick,
Wow.
first year varsity,
Okay.
and that it texted slowly in a green screen over like
I remember those.
and then that text and it took a call.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's kind of all you really need to do. The rest you can do off your laptop when you get to your office. You don't need all the other things. But to flip your conversation, what interests me, and I'd like to in the next five years, I'd like to do another degree on psychology, but in a very specific area. Those people that are fully functioning in society that have got things that haven't been diagnosed. So I'm not talking about the real people with bipolar and things that really they will lose it. But I'm talking about people that are either Asperger's or, and they're people that you know and you're working with in the industry, and I've got a few, that there's something off about them. And we were discussing the other day in a band rehearsal, and I can't obviously say who we were talking about, but we all kind of had similar experiences.
Don't you think a lot of this is also just the human condition? Like, there's no such thing as perfect balance. Again, Dr. Hanan on Monday said, like, how do you know you're good?
Yeah.
Like, no one's good.
Yeah.
Everybody has great days and terrible days. Some people are more on the depressive side, some people more on the anxious side, some people mostly happy.
But is there something...
Which one is right? I mean...
Well, I think there's like a broad area of normal where you kind of... And then there's like extreme...
If I were you, I wouldn't go scratch. I wouldn't go scratching in that vegetable patch that you're talking about. Stay away from there. Don't do that. Please.
You're not interested in that?
No, make some nice songs for us and entertain us as you have for years.
Heal
and we
us.
love you for that. I don't want you to go and dig around and get people who are managing just fine without a diagnosis, and suddenly now you've made them paranoid about that there's something wrong with them. Just leave them alone, Louise Carver. Mind your own business, all right?
Drink water.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
But there's just some people who you can't read their energy. Like something is off, but they really are coming across like they've got their shit together. There's people like that where I'm always suspicious of that kind of person where it's like you're really coming forward like everything is cool, but you don't really know if everything is really cool. Like something is off.
Because you're suspicious and weird.
I'm not suspicious and weird.
Yes, you
You're
are.
suspicious and weird. You've been beating your wife for 7 years behind closed doors and you've been acting like everything is cool. You're a psycho.
That's a psychopath.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she did bring
but
this up,
most
in
women
the first
watch
hour.
the crime channel obsessively.
And you got to wonder about that.
Why we watch it? We're just so
We're
relieved
just
it's
looking
not
for
us.
signs.
And also,
You're looking for signs.
that's how we relax on a Friday night with a glass of wine. Serial killers. Ah, what a lovely evening.
I have never watched any of those shows.
It's so interesting.
Can't watch them.
Gareth, they
Not
are
interested.
so interesting.
Well, it isn't really catered for men. It is
That and like football documentaries. Yo, they are so interesting. I'm here for it.
I think you're 51, not 60 something. No, in fact, you might even be in the 30s with that.
Hectic.
That, football documentaries.
They are so interesting. Like, there's a lot that goes on in there where you sit and you're like, really? So they're not just kicking a ball into a net. No,
You watch,
they're like, they're doing a whole lot. I love it. It's
Sorry,
so entertaining.
I just like with Louise's boyfriend when she starts talking about stuff that he
Mark.
doesn't know, or he starts
Mark.
talking about software and she goes.
I know.
Switches
When you
off.
started talking about the football documentaries, I'm like,
There's some
I
really
know.
good
Notice
ones.
how we were very quiet. I found when I'm really stressed, what relaxes me is to get into bed if it's cold with an electric blanket, if we've got electricity, and
when we have electricity,
quickly make a hot water bottle,
Yeah.
get all comfy. This is such a weird thing. I discovered about myself when I'm really stressed and there's just too many things going on. And then watching I Shouldn't Have Survived This or I Shouldn't Be Alive on YouTube, like these people that have had a plane crash and then they have to survive,
Like they
or
almost
they lost
died.
at sea and sharks are nipping it. And I'm just sitting there and I'm going like, it's not, your life isn't that bad. Like
That is so interesting.
weird. And I just feel like, I'm going to make
you
it.
two are so motivated by Schadenfreude, clearly.
Yeah, what's that? Sorry.
Schadenfreude
I've heard
is-
it, but
it's when it's a German word for this feeling of, oh, thank goodness it's not me.
yeah.
Essentially.
But isn't that
So when
entertainment?
you hear bad
safe.
noise, it's like a guilty joy that it happened to someone else and not you.
That is literally.
It's a totally human thing. You
It's
don't have to feel bad
entertainment.
about it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's got a name. It's many people have that experience on a daily basis.
I guess it's not me. Rather you than me. My life is actually not that bad.
That-
Other people are
that's it,
suffering.
yeah.
I'm
Huge
not.
amount of that on social media. You can
Tons,
see
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Tons.
Yeah, I was obsessed with the 2004, I think it was, after the said breakup that was quite traumatic for me. I was obsessed with the tsunami of watching people's clips from their phone from like a higher balcony, because I was interested in the tsunami of how this wave could cause so much damage and carnage.
Haven't they they've made a movie about
They
it?
have. I watched that as well. Yeah,
And?
it's
Good.
really, it's something. I mean, it's exactly what you were.
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
Sounds like a sausage. It sounds like a sausage.
While we're sharing good German words,
German
remember,
just sounds like a sausage. Yeah.
Beckpfeifengesicht
Wow.
means a face that looks like it needs a slap.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Why would that be a thing?
I'd be
You've
worried that
met people like that. Come on. You've met people who you think that person needs a slap.
You need a
yeah.
Befreisenschnanning.
Beckpfeifengesicht.
Yeah, German is it's
Very messed up.
It's a strong language. When I was in Greece, I thought everything sounds like calamaris. Like it's everything just sounds like a lovely meal.
Do you also find when you go to places like Greece, and this is the experience of all my female friends, is that the men they still cavemen over there. They like whistle at women. They look at you in a lecherous way.
I'd
Or is
love
it
to
men
say
of a-
yes,
is
because
it men
I'd
of a-
enjoy that attention.
Is it men of a certain age? You didn't have this?
No, I recently went to Italy to a jewelry trade show in January, and before
They ignored
left,
you?
Before I left, and I had a theory about it, like because everybody said, "Just careful, Lou, of the Italian men. Like you're just going to get it." Not one, and I thought, is it because I look a little Italian, and then they're only going for blondes or something like that,
No, they've
or
been-
exotic African?
Maybe
or I'm
the,
just
the
not.
word has finally got there that like women don't want to be treated like
catcalled and-
pieces of meat and
Yeah, I had a lovely
you
experience.
just missed out.
I missed out because I think, yeah, baby, I don't mind that. What are you going to do?
don't like
Just give me a whistle.
And you don't like me.
Hey,
Come here, come sit over here.
Get
Louise
out.
Carver.
I just do a little bow. Thank you very much.
It's a weird thing. Do you think maybe because we often talk on the show about like attention seeking, and I certainly in the beginning of my career was hugely attention seeking. Maybe that's why I don't find it so attractive anymore.
Nice.
But do you think if you're going to be a performer and a singer, you have to want people to want you?
That's a good question. I've never been. It is so weird. I have never wanted fame or attention. I've just wanted to be able to be a musician and play. I've learnt. I think what happened when It Don't Matter went on radio, from being a introvert, quiet, small group of friends person, I had to have a conversation with myself and go, this personality is not going to work if we're going to do this.
So you had to force yourself out of the shell.
I did.
You need
And
to
I
be a
developed another
star.
personality that is now integrated into mine, but it wasn't the one that I developed because we develop our personalities to cope with whatever we have
So do
to
you
deal
have to
with.
psych yourself up when you go on stage?
I don't. It comes very easy now.
Really?
Yeah. But it was a
the
planned
beginning.
conversation with self at
Yeah.
about 17 like that. And then I had to have another conversation when I moved from Cape Town at 27 to Joburg, because everybody's a lot more social here. And I had my university friends from Cape Town and my school friends, and we had this little Cape Town obnoxious clique. And I had to
It's a very
say,
Cape Town thing.
Cape Town is
Isn't
so
that Cape
clicky,
Town?
so that hasn't changed. Cape Town has consistently just been clicky.
yeah, and I don't fit in anymore. So that's interesting. I'm not interested in that at all. I don't need to have that in my life. But it's still a beautiful place. I'm just not buying into that. But when I came to Joburg, I had to have another conversation with myself and go, okay, so now you're very busy. You're playing Tan's Cafe every Friday, and you're doing this and the blues room and you have to, and I was desperately trying to still be Cape Townian and but you've got no friends, so you're going to have to make friends, and you're going to take that little judgmental cap off, and I did, and I've got amazing Joburg friends now. Obviously, for many, many years I've been here, but it is that conversation you've got to have with yourself and go, this isn't working for you. You're going to be alone watching DVDs every weekend if you're keeping this shit up.
Yeah.
So take your little pretentious hat off and let's start again. And so I've had a few, but naturally, where I go naturally is in my home with my dogs, ordering Uber Eats and Netflixing or watching a good movie or watching tsunamis in my bed. But that's naturally where I recharge. So I'm still at heart an introvert.
Good.
Don't recharge from going out.
I think everybody's a bit of both, hey?
I think so.
I really do.
I mean, there are people like my good friend that is coming back to South Africa. Good news story. Emigrated to Austria. Husband got a job in Red Bull and couldn't get on with the culture there at all. Very social person and not very social Austrians just by nature, very closed.
Yeah.
So desperately lonely 4 years there and so excited to come home. She's actually coming home this weekend. Very good friend of mine.
Nice.
But she gets joy
Very cool.
from connecting people,
Sure,
obviously in
yeah.
PR, had a very successful PR business. Whereas I do not get that. I enjoy my time out, but I'm also excited. There's lovely social media memes where the guy's in his car going like, bye, yeah, we must do this again. We must do it. Close to the door and he's like, oh.
There's the
And I
real
go
joy.
like, that's me. But
Well,
yeah.
Balance.
I'm thrilled you were here. I hope you're not going to get in your car after this and go,
No, it's you.
this is a fun conversation.
But you're very
as always.
social, Gareth. I see you out. You've got a group
Gareth-
of very
Gareth
good-looking
is-
friends.
he's the balance- balance
half,
guy.
half and half, right? So I can turn it on and I can switch it off. When I'm at home during the week on my own,
And your doggy.
wild horses can't pull me out of there.
Lovely. Good song.
But when he's with the people, he is immersed in the people. It's just the
Yes.
perfect balance.
With your
You're,
tequila.
you're good at that too.
Well, I mean, after being with you for like 2 to 3 years, I'm getting better
Nonsense. You were good at it at the start. That's one of the reasons you're here. All right, listen.
All right, thanks very much,
Enough
Adam.
of,
This was nice.
enough of us breaking down our personalities
This
this
was
morning.
great.
I hope everybody's had fun today. It's Wednesday, so still
Almost Friday.
Still got 2 days of
And
it.
it's the 25th.
It's not almost Friday. I've got a lot to do. I've got a media launch on Friday.
Oh, have you?
So, yes.
Yes, of course, because you're starting the
I
tour
hope you're
next week.
invited.
You know I'm not going to come in.
I know, but thank you.
You know.
Thank you.
You know I love you, but I don't go to these things.
No, it's fair enough. Yeah, it is.
I inadvertently promised someone on the air the other day I'd go on their show, and now I have to
Ooh.
get.
Now you have to
And
do
I have to
it.
get. No, I have to get out of it. I'm not going to do it. There's no way I'm going to do it. So
I still do that. I know we're wrapping up, but I still have that little kernel of people pleasing where I say something that I know will make that person happy.
I did it
and
on the show, and it was almost like part of the shtick. Yeah, sure.
And there's witnesses.
Then I get an email, and I'm like, oh, what the hell?
I said, what?
no.
I've got to break a bone or something, so I don't have to go to this thing.
And all you want to do is just be in your bed. That's all. You just want to like sleep.
There's I know we're wrapping up, but there's a balance. I sometimes am too much. Like last weekend, I was in my home too much, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm completely isolated myself. I need to get out.
I'm getting the vibe that you two should have like a wine thing on Thursdays or something. No, I like this. That's very good. No, it's good. But it's
Energy doesn't lie, Gareth.
all right. All right, everybody. Have a happy Wednesday. We will see you tomorrow at 6 a.m.